So we're open.
Open for business.
Got two decisions. The first one is on case number 2769, Southampton Hospital, 240 Meeting House Lane.
I move we accept this decision as proposed.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have a decision, 2778, Killian, I'm gonna mispronounce this, I know it.
I think it's Brady.
O'Brady,
There
Brady.
you go.
75 South Main Street.
I think it's Brady in Gaelic. Thank you.
I'm making the motion.
Oh, okay. I move we accept this decision as proposed.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's all good.
Takes us down to the pending cases, 2746, 550 and 554 Hill Street, LLP, 550 and 554 Hill Street.
Kevin, I'm gonna wait out in the hall, okay?
Okay.
Kevin, on this one, we can just simply announce for the record that we discussed the secret procedure at our work session last week, and we determined that we should that this should follow the coordinated review procedure, and therefore we're directing our environmental consultant to initiate the coordinated review procedure and to request that the planning board be the lead agency.
Does that require a
No, that
motion?
doesn't require a vote.
Okay.
So Chick Voorhees will follow up on that, and we'll adjourn the matter for all purposes, but there's nothing further for us to do until presumably the planning board will accept lead agency and take that over, and then they'll have to do the secret review. And there's no point in our doing any further hearing on the variance application until the planning board has rendered its secret determination. We can carry it on our agenda, but because we don't know how long that will take, but I think each month we would just adjourn it until we've heard from the planning board. So for
That's
now, you
what we'll
can
do
adjourn
now,
for
is
all
it?
purposes.
I move we adjourn 2746 for all purposes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
On case 2766,
There's,
yes.
I represent one of the neighbors regarding this matter. I was hoping to say something regarding 550 and 554 Hill Street.
Well, we had closed this for decision.
No,
No,
that's not the one.
The
No,
one that
no,
you
the one we just.
just
Oh, you're
adjourned.
talking,
I'd like to
Hill Street.
submit something for the record and make some comments if that would be permitted.
Well, you can, but what is the purpose until there's been a secret determination?
Can I?
We gotta open
Have
the
to
meeting.
reopen it?
Did we adjourn it for all purposes?
yeah.
Yeah.
I move we reopen 2746.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. David Kirst from McLaughlin Negan, half of PHB Realty. So one of the neighboring properties. Got a letter here for the board in response to the latest submission by the applicant. 12 copies. I'll start off.
Are you going to be addressing the merits of the variance application?
No, I won't. I'm really just going to address the SECRA issue, if that's allowed.
I think you took the position that we needed to do a coordinated secret.
Exactly.
So that's what we're doing.
Well, I also take the position that the zoning board should be the lead agency on that, in this matter. That's my primary concern, hearing that the decision's been made that the planning board should be the lead agency. So
If you want to address it, go ahead.
I'd like to address that. The planning board doesn't have the ability to grant a subdivision for lots that aren't compliant with village code. So in order for them to even grant a subdivision, these significant variances would have to be addressed, and if granted by the zoning board, before they could make their determination. And the significance of these variances is, I think, enough that this board should be the lead agency. The determination of the planning board essentially will be compliance with the standards in the code for the planning, which isn't addressing the significant zoning variances that are being asked for in this application.
I think you're mixing up the variance standards that will be applicable when this eventually comes back to the zoning board with secret. Whoever is the lead agency will have to address all potential impacts from this project.
Right, and I agree and I understand.
The planning board typically handles secret, well, the planning board always handles secret in connection with subdivisions, and they typically, this is something that they typically do, and they will have to address in the secret process the significance of the potential impacts from the variance requests.
Okay, it's just, my feeling is, as the zoning board is typically, is the board that grants the variances, that to have the planning board act on as lead agency on a matter where the first necessary step even to get to planning is the granting of these variances. I just feel as that first necessary step that the zoning
The
board.
planning board won't be acting on the subdivision application, they'll be doing the secret review.
Right, and their background is
Once
in.
the secret review is done, then the zoning board will address the variance requests, and the planning board would address the subdivision if the variances are granted.
Okay, I think I've made my point clear. I feel that the variances are the ultimate issue, and as this board has the expertise and the background in the variances, that they should be the lead agency on this issue. And thank you. And just like to, if you could just, there are other points raised in my submission that I guess will be addressed at a later time once SECRA has been completed. Thank you very much.
I move we adjourn for all purposes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That brings us down to 2766 Philip and Nina Edwards, 395 First Neck Lane.
This one, we're just holding over for decision. You know, at the work session, we agreed to give Michael Walsh until tonight to make any further written submission he wanted to do, and I think I copied you on the emails,
He has done that.
and he has done that, so now we'll just hold it over for decision.
We move we close for decision.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we should have a decision for that at the July meeting then? right?
Yes.
Next case is 2777 45 Moses Lane, LLC.
For the applicant, Gilbert G. Flanagan, 21 South Main Street, Southampton. This is a continuing application that was heard in the first instance at your meeting in May and was adjourned for all purposes because you had requested some additional information, some of which I supplied to you before the work session, other of which I'll supply to you this evening. I believe that one of the board members at least had asked us to justify or substantiate the fact that this warehouse use for bottling has not been abandoned. There were some comments made by a couple of the neighbors. And what I have, since that meeting, obtained is an affidavit from Edmund Lowe, who's currently the sole owner of the property, but who acquired the property with Roy Wines IV in March of 1997. And therefore, since 97 up to the present, is fully familiar with the use of the property. And the relevance of that is, of 1997, is that is the date, the certificate of occupancy for the property, which includes, among other things, a valid pre-existing non-conforming office and warehouse for non-alcoholic beverage distribution. And as you'll see from this affidavit, which I'm handing up, he has attested that from that time until April of 2012, he and his company did in fact conduct a bottled water bottling and distribution business from the warehouse on that property. And I know that fact, because the bottled water from our office has been supplied by that company. So I'll give you an original and several copies of that affidavit. The affidavit also indicates that since April of 2012, which is only slightly more than a year ago, the owners have made no voluntary abandonment of that particular use. So I think it's fair to say that that use is still a valid use. It could be started up tomorrow with Canada Dry, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, any similar bottling company, or bottled water, or any of those things. So the use is very much alive. The use could, even though it may not have been tremendously intensive, that's not to say that the next guy that comes in there in 2 weeks couldn't make a full-blown operation out of it and have every legal right to do so. So I think when you're considering this application, it's important to take that into account, that if this application is granted and that use is extinguished, that possibility of an intensive use could not then be reinstated. So that was one of the things you'd asked. The other thing that you had asked us to provide, and some of which I provided for the work session, is floor plans and elevations of the proposed guest house building. And I believe I submitted some. I'll submit additional copies which perhaps are more legible. It's a plan consisting of, I believe, 5 sheets. The first sheet, and I'll hand this up so you have it when I'm talking. The first sheet is a floor plan, and it's important to take a look at that because, as I represented at the initial hearing, this is a 1-bedroom guest house. It also serves a dual purpose. If you look at the bottom part of it, which has a separate bathroom and lounge, serves as a pool house, so that it has 2 separate and distinct aspects to it. So we basically combined a pool house and a small guest house into one building. The other pages show the elevations, the 4 elevations, and as you can see from the drawings, the height of the building from grade to the top of the ridge is 15 feet 11 inches, which is under the 16-foot maximum stipulated in the code. So these are the drawings you should be working with. I believe an earlier drawing may have had an incorrect height measurement on it, but these are the drawings that you should be working with. As you can see, there are all four elevations. As you note from drawing A2, I believe that is the east elevation. As you can see, that has some, looks like French doors that would open up. As you know from the site plan, the pool is proposed to be opposite that, so that this does also function as a pool house. I think that was the only other thing of any real substance that you asked us to submit. And so unless you have any questions, I think that's it.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Because a lot of the neighbors were here and were concerned with the size of the building, the amount of activity that is generated by a building that's not only just a pool house, it's got bedroom and cooking and, you know, all the facilities like someone can live in it. It's like a family. And then the pool, that it is sort of jammed back in the back corner, which is very advantageous to this owner, but not to the neighbors. And I noticed like the new house is like 100 feet back from the street, which then pushes the pool back, you know, they got 15 feet from the back of the pool house to the property line, but he's got 100 feet from the front of his house to the road, you know. It appears to me that if the pool and the house were all pulled forward and the pool house pulled forward, it'd have less impact upon the neighbors.
So as you're saying is take the whole thing and shift it closer to the street.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at the original house, the new house is actually in the backyard of the existing house that's there now.
I could certainly discuss that with them, and they haven't, you know, obviously finalized these plans, so I could see if they'd be willing to shift the whole thing further to the east.
And I'm not even sure, I didn't even go down and relook at the streetscape where, like all the other houses on the street might be set back at 40 feet, and all of a sudden this one is set back at 100 feet. It sort of throws it's a little bit out of balance that way, too.
That's a legitimate point. I'll look into that, and if we can substantially increase that setback, I would assume that you might have a slightly different view of it. Okay, I'll certainly take a look at that and report back to you next month.
This original house,
100 feet and 2 inches from the whole original house.
There's a
It's
huge,
actually in
got a
front.
huge front yard.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right, the existing house is about 40 feet from Moses Lane, according to this. So I'll certainly explore that with them and see if that,
I think you would find that the majority of those houses on that street are about that distance. I don't
40.
know of any that are 100 feet back.
as I said, I'll be more than happy to explore that with them and see if that they can shift the whole thing further to the east. And if that is achievable and I come back, is that something you'd be a little bit more likely to consider then?
Well, we
okay.
would consider it,
Right,
yeah.
okay. I'll certainly make that suggestion.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Terry?
No.
Rick?
Yeah.
Do you have anyone out in the audience who'd like to hear to this application? So therefore, what we're gonna do is hold this open for all purposes.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Brings us down to the one new case we have, which is 2779 Coles Associates LLC, 477 Little Plains Road.
Bennett and Reed, 212 Windmill Lane, Southampton, New York, by Kimberly Judd of Council. I'm pinch-hitting for John Bennett tonight, who's on vacation. Do you mind if I just spread out on the table? This is a corner piece on,
Speak up so that
sure.
Want to point the microphone over?
Picked up by Channel 22.
There's a microphone on the table.
There is?
Oh, okay, right there.
Just talk a little louder.
Okay. This is a corner parcel on 477 Little Plains Road on the corner of Little Plains and Gin Lane. And there are a couple maps I think are pretty relevant, and that's why I'm kind of just going to spread them out here on the table. In your package, you'll see here that one of them is a Suffolk County tax map, which is the current tax map. And right behind it is a 1981 Suffolk County tax map. So I just kind of line these up side by side just because I can see the differences in the area over the years. The survey shows that, and these actually are two parcels that are separately identified on the Suffolk County tax map, and they're actually separately assessed by the Village of Southampton as well. And as the survey shows, the one parcel on the corner contains the dwelling and part of a pool, and the other lot contains most of the pool, the swimming pool. So we have two parcels, two tax lot parcels. Each one is over 2 acres. The one parcel contains over 87,000 square feet, and the other one contains a little over 91,000 square feet. And both of these lots are located in the R120 zoning district. As I said before, both of these lots are currently separately identified on the Suffolk County tax map, and also were separately identified on the 1981 tax map. And in your package, you'll see that there's also copies of tax bills throughout the years from the County of Suffolk and from the village separately assessing each one of these parcels. The applicant is seeking variances for lot area for each of these parcels, since they are in R120 zoning district and they contain 87,000 square feet, and the other parcels 91,000 square feet. If the board is inclined to grant those lot area variances, lot